Hello. I want to jump on really quickly because I was doing a yoga session with a client of mine and it was a lot of fun. Live virtual yoga across the world we get to play online. And I wanted to share some goodies with you in case you're around. If you're in the office or you're just hanging out, you're sitting for a long period of time, but maybe you can't get up and move around too much. This is for you to make your hips or help your hips feel fantastic. What you're going to do is if you have your chair, you're going to sit towards the edge of your chair, okay? So don't sit nice and comfy all the way near the back where you can round your back, but sit near the edge of the chair itself. That way you can sit with a nice tall spine. So I'm going to show you this from the side because this is important. When you open your hips, you have to have mobility through the hips and the pelvis. This is always challenging, more so when you're seated, easier when you're standing, but sometimes balance and strength or energy is a factor. And supine, it's really sweet because it's more gentle practice and you have that extra mobility in the hips and pelvis. But we're doing seated in a chair. When you sit towards the back of the chair, just notice that there's a tendency for the pelvis to kind of scoop or tuck. And we kind of lean back and we get that tension in the belly, really. For this, you're seated at the edge so that maybe you can see this nice curve in the lower back. You want to maintain that lordotic curve for this purpose. The next thing I want you to think about, the placement of your feet. You're going to have them just underneath your knees, okay? Now, when you're here, you might find that it's agreeable to stretch your right leg straight and then turn the leg out, a little tip to get the thigh set up in the hip socket. Now, depending on where you are, flexibility, you might need a little bit of warm up before you do this, but if your hips are ready for it, you're going to bend your leg and place the ankle over the left thigh. And you're seated like so. Your right foot is flexing, and I'll show you that in a moment from the other side. Your toes spread, and again, you're looking to maintain the curve in the lower back rather than the rounding, because if you're rounded through the spine, you're not going to get a safe hip opening. So you sit nice and tall, one hand on the thigh, one on the foot, press foot and hand into each other. And then on the exhale, here's the fun part, you're going to slowly fold forward. And as you come forward, hopefully you feel something happening in this outer hip. Good. And then on the inhale, you're going to slowly come up through seated. And we'll switch sides. Now, before we switch sides, I'm going to make sure that you can still see me because my screen is going all sorts of funny. Okay. Now, other side, you're at the edge of the chair and you're going to take left leg forward. Turn the leg out and then bend the leg. Usually sweeter way to get in. Seeing that the foot's flexed, not sickled. This would be a sickled foot where you look down and see the sole of your foot. Instead, lift that left knee as high as you need to in order to reach out through the mound of the big toe and the inner heel. From this position, you're going to take one hand to the foot, one to the thigh, and you just press your hands towards each other. Little trick to settle the thighs into the hip socket. And then on the exhale, slowly fold forward. No more stress in the hips. This is relatively easy to do when to sneak in at work, right? Depending on what you're wearing. And then on the inhale, come up. Now, one more variation on this, because this is a lot of fun. A twist. All right. Right leg will come forward. Turn the leg out. Then take ankle over thigh. You sit nice and tall, but this time take your opposite hand. So if you're doing right leg, take right hand to right foot, same hand to foot, and left hand behind you on the chair. You're going to press the hand into the foot. You're going to root the left hand down into the chair and you twist. And you should feel this again, maybe in the outer hip. You don't ever want to feel it in the knee. If that's the case, then we'd do a different pose. We wouldn't do this right now. And then on the inhale, unwind. Other side. Left leg's forward. You turn the leg out. Ankle over thigh. You make that foot active, meaning you reach out through the inner edge of the foot. You don't see the sole of the foot when you look down. Left hand to foot, right hand on chair. Left hand presses into the foot and feel how the thigh settles into the hip. Your right hand roots down onto the chair, and on the exhale, you twist. Little twist. This will boost your energy midday. Nice thing to do. Pick me up if you've been feeling sluggish after lunch. And then on the inhale, unwind. So simple, easy to do at work, at home. Remember sitting towards the edge of the chair. Now, one more thing to leave you with a little bit of spice, because I love to make things spicy. You're going to do this standing. So if the chair was super duper easy, you're like, meh, that's no big deal. Try it standing. So here's what you would do. You need to bend your knees, stick your tushy back as if you were going to sit into a chair. Then you'll take your right ankle over the left thigh. You want to squeeze those thighs towards each other. Move your inner thighs back so you can lower those hips. You draw the belly in and up, your foot flexed. If you feel a little unsteady, you can always bring your hands to the floor. That is an option, or to blocks. And then on the inhale, come all the way up. The other side, same thing. You bend your knees a little, you move your bottom back. Left ankle over thigh, just like we were doing seated. Thighs squeeze towards each other. Move the inner thighs back so you can lower those hips. And then hands to Anjali, the lower belly toning. You're doing fantastic. This will help get you really present and in the moment again, because balancing poses require you to be all there, not thinking about the to-do list. On the inhale, root through that standing foot, come up. Okay, now here's the real craziness. Remember how we twisted? Well, twisting, we can also do standing. Here's what it would look like. You bend your legs, you take right ankle over thigh, thigh squeeze, inner thighs move back, and you come into the pose. Now this is nice to have a block nearby. You can have the block beneath your left hand, sole of the right foot, and hand press into each other and you twist. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you wiggle your elbow into the crook of the foot. If you're feeling very steady, maybe you stack your hands and you twist. And then depending on flexibility, you might even be able to bring that arm down to the floor. Whoop. Pressing foot and hand into each other, little twist. Inhale, you look at the floor, unwind chest, unwind body, and release. Now that is an intense twist. You can do it on the chair, you can do it standing. So other side, always balanced. Thigh squeeze, inner thighs move back. Then left hand to the sole of the foot, you press foot and hand into each other and you twist. Now part of what helps is having a focal point, looking at something that's steady and not moving. Good. We'll see if I can get this side as I wobble. Maybe you extend left arm to the floor, maybe right arm to the sky. And then inhale, you look to the floor, unwind the chest, and superstar, your way out. So thanks for joining me. Simple movements for the office, or spicier movements, depending on where you work, or if you're playing at home. Thank you for joining me. Always take some time to make sure that you feel warmed up before you go into these poses. The more you practice them, the easier it is to sneak them in without a lot of warm up, but you can do hip flossing, okay? So if you have questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks for stopping by. Lots of love.